I think we got the job done early today.
Okay.
And today I wanted to come in and then say hello to Philip.
That's good.
I haven't seen him in a long time, so we had some catching up to do.
Wow. I hope it went well. I hope he's all right.
Well, he's fine.
Last week, we had a very good conversation about a very serious issue and something we call prolactin.
Right.
Eventually, you drilled it down. It stemmed from a letter that we received.
Right.
Now, we didn't finish the conversation. We needed a better, wrap up to it. And people had lots of questions about this condition as well. So
Absolutely.
we thought I would do a part 2. But just for those who are not here, let me just read a letter that started this conversation here.
Sure.
Lexis, I'm a 29-year-old female and I work in the ICT sector. I noticed a milky discharge from the nipples of both breasts at the beginning of the year. It has been on and off since then. Initially, I thought being a woman was okay. I'm not pregnant, neither do I have a baby. Last March, my period was scanty, 2 days instead of my regular 4. In April, same. Now I'm worried. I tried reading around it and ended up getting more worried because I could not really relate to any of the causes except for the overstimulation. Even then, I'm not sure how much stimulation in as much as my partner does that a bit intensely. I've also heard that it could be as a result of breast cancer. I've not seen a doctor because I'm afraid my worst fears may be confirmed. I live with anxiety now. And that's really what she wanted the drive doctor to speak to. So you actually opened the conversation on what we call prolactin.
Prolactin.
Or
Yes.
what you called hyperprolactinemia.
Hyperprolactin. Hey, Kwame.
Oh, I mean,
What did you eat today?
I got this. I was born to do this.
Spot on.
Yeah.
So good afternoon to all our listeners, and it's good to be here once again. Kwame, yesterday was the birthday of a loyal listener. She tells me that in her house nobody touches the radio. Actually, she doesn't know about any frequency. So she doesn't even know the frequency for joy because it's been there for such a long time.
Wow.
It's not been moved.
Yeah.
So she doesn't even know it off the top of her head, but nobody touches that dial.
That's good.
So now Anyakai Odoi, she turned 61 yesterday. So happy birthday. I saw her at the clinic today.
Good.
Right. So last week we started a conversation about something that most women would not find strange because most women in the reproductive age group or who have had babies before know about breast milk.
Mm-hmm.
So milk coming out of a female's breast is usually not an unusual event, except that you don't have a baby or you're not in late pregnancy. Then it becomes unusual. So our friend who sent us this message said she's not pregnant, neither is she neither does she have a baby.
Yes.
So then why is she experiencing a milky discharge?
Mm-hmm.
So that the technical expression for that type of condition is galactorrhea.
Yeah.
Galactorrhea. And we did mention that it is because of a hormone we call prolactin, which is produced by a certain part of the brain. Kwame, we also looked at the other features of having high levels of this hormone called prolactin. And hormones are chemical substances that we produce in one part of the body that sends instructions or messages to another part of the body to exert an effect. Those are that is generally how we define a hormone.
Mm-hmm.
So the prolactin hormone is produced in a part of the brain. And Kwame, I would like to use this infographic we have here.
Okay, if you are on our Facebook page, you can actually check out the video live, so you can see the infographic that doctor is referring to.
Right. So right in the middle of this picture, this infographic, you see this pink structure that is lit up right in the middle or at the base of the brain.
Yeah.
So Kwame, you see this whole thing is the brain.
Yeah.
This big thing. But if you come towards the base of the brain at the level of the eye,
yeah,
or if you extend it, then it is behind the bridge of the nose, if you like, at the same level, then you have a very tiny structure. Kwame, is about the size of a pea. Granite, one.
That small thingy.
That small thing. So if you look at the size of the brain and you look at that thing, that's about 0.5 grams. Very, very small, very tiny. But we call it the master gland.
That's the master gland?
Yes. The pituitary gland. It's the master gland. Why do we call it the master gland? In addition to prolactin, it produces a range or a variety of hormones that serve different functions. So actually, if we say the brain controls your body, it is actually the pituitary that controls a lot of it.
Okay.
So for example, this master gland controls your heart rate. So when you are going to pop the question to the girl, and your heart is racing like that,
it's that small granite.
You are overstimulating that thing.
Wow.
So your heart rate, your blood pressure, the control of water levels, salt in content of your body, growth. So, Kwame, I don't know whether in your life you've seen anybody who you describe as a giant. I have at our hormone clinic a condition we call acromegaly or gigantism, where the individual is very tall, very big. One finger or the breadth of one finger is like 2.5 of mine. They've got thick bones. They're real giants.
Yeah.
So there is a hormone that is called the growth hormone that comes from this part as well. Then we also have the reproductive hormones, or what we call the sex hormones. So Kwame, we all enter puberty. These days, girls enter puberty around 10 years, averagely, and then boys enter puberty around 12 years, averagely. And then we begin to see the differences. Characteristically, the women would start having their menses, and then there's breast development. Then the men start seeing strands of hair appearing, the voice breaks, you become a bit more muscular. All those things are under the influence of a set of hormones we call the sex hormones. All these hormones I'm talking about are coming from this pea-like structure at the base of the brain we call the pituitary, and we have aptly nicknamed the master gland. And prolactin, Kwame, is also coming from this part of the brain.
So it means if something goes wrong, a lot will go wrong.
A lot will go wrong. If this organ, something goes wrong with it, a lot can go wrong. So sometimes you can have an overproduction of one line. So think of it as a factory line, an assembly plant where you are producing different components of the vehicle. All right, you can have a problem with just one line. And in this particular instance of the milk coming out of the breast at the time the female is not pregnant or not nursing a baby, then we would say that the line that produces the prolactin, something is causing it to do or to produce more than your body needs. So then that happens, and we see that. But we also need to remind ourselves of other features of the high prolactin levels. And I did mention that in women, or both men and women, it can cause disorders of sexual and reproductive function. So this friend of ours talked about menstrual irregularities.
Yes.
Well, there are of two kinds that happen when you have high levels of prolactin. We have what we call the amenorrhea, where your menses will cease. She says she's 29, so you have a woman who's nowhere near the menopause age of average of about 48, but then cessation of menses. Then you also have something we call oligomenorrhea. For women who have regular cycles or in a year, it's monthly. So we expect that you have 12 menses in a year. Even if you have irregular menses, maybe 9, 10. But I mean, if you're a woman in the reproductive age group and you have less than 8 cycles in a year, then we would say you're experiencing an irregularity, a menstrual irregularity we call oligomenorrhea.
Okay.
So that's different from the amenorrhea. The woman may also become infertile because they have their menses all right, but they have problems with producing eggs or releasing eggs. So not every menses, seeing blood, is associated with fertility. You may have what we call anovulatory cycles, where you actually don't produce any eggs in the month, and that is what it leads to the infertility. The men also then experience what we call diminished libido. This is a bit tricky, but because when we talk about libido, we are talking about the overall desire for sex. and a lot of different things can diminish it. So today you asked a very important question at the beginning of the show. You asked for people to tell you whether or not they are happy. If you're not happy for a number of reasons, and I believe a lot of people give different reasons, you may just lose interest. But high levels of prolactin may be a reason why you have lost your libido. So if there are really no clear-cut reasons why you've lost your libido and you are male, you may want to talk to your doctor, and you may get a blood test, a blood test to check your prolactin levels. In men also, it causes infertility, and through what we call oligospermia, where you have a lower than normal sperm count. Unfortunately, I've had to treat a few people with low sperm counts in the clinic. So these are the other features that the individual may present with and come to the hospital. So sometimes they may not have the milky discharge.
Okay. So what really will cause a problem with that small pituitary pitri gland?
Absolutely. It's a pituitary thing. So we secured it in that area for a reason.
Before you actually answer that, let me activate the phone lines because people had questions. 0302 216 541, or you can send us a WhatsApp message on 055 1111997. Right.
So it's in a very special place, very well protected. The whole skull protects the entirety of the brain, but even this is buried at the base of it. But Kwame, we can have problems with your pituitary. The first thing is traumatic injury. Although it's located so far away and at the base of the brain, trauma to the head can cause injury and permanent injury to the pituitary. So people who've been involved in a road traffic accident, for example, I always cringe when I see people on the motorcycles without a helmet. You see, this one, it doesn't have to be an MTTD or something campaign. Really, your skull is hard for a reason. It protects something very delicate in there, and the pituitary, this master gland. So, Kwame, I know men ride more than women in our part of the world. So please, you think about your libido and wear your helmet.
Wait, the ride, which of the rides were you? Never mind.
Kwame, let's continue. You just wear the helmet. Where you are riding, just wear your helmet and you'll be safe. Tumors can also happen to that part of the brain.
Okay.
So, Kwame, what's a tumor? A tumor is a disordered growth of tissues of the body. So, tumors of the pituitary gland can happen, and we've had tumors of the pituitary gland that produce high levels of prolactin in the blood. So you have something we call a prolactinoma, which is a tumor of the milk producing areas of the pituitary gland. So we can have tumors happening that can lead to an overproduction, or Kwame, this is disordered growth. So the tumor is growing and expanding, and it can squash the milk producing cells, the prolactin producing cells, such that you don't produce any prolactin. But in this particular instance, it may be because you are overproducing. Then sometimes radiation, shining too much x-rays, exposing somebody to too many x-rays can also do that. So Kwame, these are the various reasons why you can have that type of problem leading to a hyperprolactinemia.
Okay. Kwame from Teshi sent a message and says, "Good afternoon, Lexis. I did my prolactin level test last week.
Right.
And the result is 7.41 ng/ml.
Yeah.
And I want to ask the doctor if I'm okay."
What does he give us? Okay, so
he
we
has
need
a second
reference.
question.
It doesn't give us a reference range. So,
Reference, what is it?
So usually when we do lab tests, we will talk about. So you have normal levels. Everybody should have normal levels of the of the hormone. It is when you have higher than normal, then we will talk about it's being hyper. So every laboratory has a way of reporting the lab results. So it will give you your test results, and then we would compare it against the reference range that particular laboratory is using to
Okay.
determine whether it is normal or not. So he can talk to me at the end of the show and give me further and better particulars. It's on his lab report. It will be stated on that lab report, usually put in brackets or in parentheses.
Well, he has a second question, and I don't know whether it's quite related to
Let's hear it.
prolactin, but he says that I easily get erection aside early morning erection.
Okay, what we call the nocturnal penile tumescence. NPT.
Nocturnal penile.
School fees do
Okay,
NPT. Yeah, so first thing in the morning or at dawn, men tend to get an erection. It's very normal.
Yeah.
Actually, it's one of the things that we would ask for to make sure that everything is fine in the reproductive pathway for the hormones. It's a bit difficult. We need further and better particulars to know what he means by he gets excited more than necessary. Because people sometimes can be stimulated just by what they see, what they hear, what they smell. There's a reason why particularly women, and they shouldn't come at me, please, we use a certain type of perfume. There are pheromones, you smell and then it can stimulate you. All these things are very well researched. Animals use it a lot when they want to attract the male. They generate some particular, they release certain chemicals that has a particular aroma that says they are ready come. So they include all of that in perfumes. So there may be a number of reasons why he gets stimulated. So everything is in the brain.
Okay.
Everything is in the brain. Maybe he has higher than normal
Ladies,
levels of
which
testosterone.
perfumes do you people use for that one?
I mean, don't
want to see
cause
something.
trouble for us.
I want to see something. Okay, 0302216541. You can actually call us and ask your question, or send us a WhatsApp message on 055-1111-997. Good evening. My sister has this complaint for some 7 months now. She touches lumpy or lumps, that's what I mean, on one side of the tummy. As she lies on the other. The tummy is still flat as usual, but she has been having her normal menses since. What could be the problem? Stephen in Akosombo.
Right. So I would simply say that she needs a thorough medical evaluation, good history, and a thorough physical exam, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay. Lexis, what's the name of the hospital? I was listening in a Trotsky, but the driver has changed the frequency. Kindly respond via WhatsApp.
we will respond via WhatsApp.
You see why they shouldn't increase the fares. This is why the fares should not be increased. How can you do this? But you see, this is the good thing. You can listen to us on your mobile phone, on your smartphone.
Absolutely.
Just download the My Joy Online app. So that if somebody takes their radio away, you just have your phone and you can listen in, okay? Or get on Facebook.
That app.
This is live on Facebook as well. You can also watch it, okay? So there you go.
But do we have some more messages?
Yes.
I just wanted to mention that there are other reasons why you may have more milk, coming than necessary. We talked about chest wall or the nipples overstimulation, and sometimes it just can be the attire or the undergarments that you're wearing. We also talked about oral contraceptive use, estrogen excess. So it has a hormone in there in the pill we call estrogen. And if you are on oral contraceptive pills, it may not be entirely surprising that you produce milk at a time that you're not pregnant or nursing a baby. Sometimes there are some medicines that doctors put patients on that may lead to that. Some of them are BP medicines. Others are also medicines we use for anxiety and other psychiatric problems. So there are other possibilities as well.
Well, in fact, there's a question in relation to that. I was given medication to stop breast milk some time ago because I wasn't breastfeeding.
Right.
You mentioned antipsychotics can cause this condition. So what can be done about it since it causes infertility?
Right. So if you're talking about something to block it, the levels of it, then that's actually what we want, because the high levels of the prolactin will actually cause you to become infertile. All right. Infertility is one of the features, and it does that in females by preventing the release of the eggs, which is very important for the sperm. The sperm must meet the egg to form the baby. So actually, if we don't get a handle on the prolactin levels, then your infertility would persist. So actually, we put you on medication to get the prolactin down. What we're saying was that sometimes when we put you on some other medicines for some other reason, like the psychiatric medications or some of the BP medicines, it may actually lead to you having galactorrhea, high levels of prolactin than normal. And then we'll have to either take you off it and substitute the drug. So thankfully, when it comes to blood pressure medicines, Kwame, we have a lot of options. We're spoiled for choice. So your doctor will withdraw the offending drug and substitute it with another. So she should speak with her physician, family physician, or talk to us at the end of the show, and then we can see how we can help.
Good. Then kindly share with us your contact and how they can find you.
Right. So the number is 0501 477 340. 0501 477 340.
All right. Dr. Osafo is the CEO of Medicas Hospital. I think that maybe we can take one more question from Ken in Tessano, who says, Lexis, my problem is my libido. It's low of late. What could be the cause?
Wow. I mean, it could simply be that so when it comes to libido, maybe we should do a show about that, about libido. We'll take it to night show or something.
Yeah.
But when it comes to libido, we are talking about the overall desire for sex, and there are a lot of different factors. There are biological factors, and then there are non-biological factors that can lead to that.
Can E-Levy affect it?
The people who brought it, their libido is high. When they reach their threshold, I will tell you, their libido is high. So I don't think.
Okay, I see.
So it would be good for him to talk to us so that we evaluate properly and see whether or not his loss of libido is because of biological factors. We will look at some of all these hormonal factors, and then also take a social history and know whether or not there are other non-biological factors leading to that. Stress can be a reason why. A bad marriage can be a reason why. So there are a lot of other factors that are not in the domain of medicine that can actually contribute to the loss of libido. But if you're certain that nothing is happening on that front, then you should come see us, and then we'll do a few hormonal tests, and then we'll take it from there.
Doc, thank you. Great having you.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next week. We're grateful for the education. Right. Dr. Osafo is the CEO of Medicas Hospital, Mampong, Equiapim, and Medina Firestone. Speak to him, and he's going to sort you out. Yeah?